What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle launches today in early access, but reviews did go live yesterday, and they gave us an indication as to how Machine Games did, pretty much going a bit outside of the box for them, and we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about another live service game that appears to be pretty much ending, which this one I don't think people are going to be too surprised about. And then we also have a bit of a surprise update in the background here for PlayStation, one that's really has not been mentioned much by Sony, but has the potential to actually do some pretty interesting things for their VR platform. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members of the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're gonna start today with a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, one that is certainly out of left field, and it's very different than what you would expect a Turtles game to be, but we can see this over on Gamatsu, where they say, El Paso, Elsewhere, and I Am Your Beast developer Strange Scaffold has announced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown. It's the first ever turn-based Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. So they do have a full trailer for it here as well. It will be available for PC through Steam, and it'll launch sometime in 2025. Don't have much more to go on other than that. And as I was watching this trailer, I mean, it looks very minimalist in the sense that you're moving what look like figures around a board, and then they sort of go into like a combat phase and stuff. But I mean, it doesn't look like the highest budget or anything behind something like this, but I do kind of like the idea of a unique take on the Turtles. This more of a strategy RPG style game. They say there's 20 levels that are divided across campaigns focused on individual characters. They have that graphic novel inspired art style, customizable movesets, and again, I'm interested. I think more or less when it comes to the Turtles, I do think action beat 'em up style games, but I don't mind the idea of throwing in a tactical RPG just to see how it does. This again looks very minimalist, and it doesn't seem like a lot was put behind this in terms of budget, but sometimes those smaller games can genuinely surprise, maybe lead to even bigger experiences. So this launching sometime in 2025, we'll have to wait and see what exactly they have for a solid release date earlier in the year or maybe even later. Also, we did get an updated sales figure for Dragon Quest III HD 2D, which we saw it absolutely shoot up the charts in Japan, selling at this point almost 1 million copies physically, and it seems like there's some issues when it comes to stock, like the game just being available outright in Japan. But now we have an idea, as we can see this is posted up by the official Dragon Quest account, saying, "We're glad to see so many of you enjoying Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake," with an image below saying 2 million units shipped and downloaded. Yeah, that was fast. So in 3 weeks, they've hit 2 million copies. I say shipped and downloaded. Look, when these different companies ship a game to retailers, they don't really take the games back. I've been through this many, many times. They got their money, wholesale and everything, and that's it. Downloaded, I mean, yeah, most likely that's it. You're not getting many refunds anyway through places like Steam for a game like this, where you're going to put a lot more time into it than 2 hours to really get your head around it. But either way, 2 million copies already for an HD 2D game like this, tapping an older game from people, again, Famicom, then like Super Famicom, because they did a remake of that, and then it's, either way though, this is a game, or at least an idea around game development that Square needs to really embrace more and more in the future. 2 million copies like this would have been disappointing, I guess, for Square when it comes to something big budget like a Final Fantasy 16. We saw them go through that. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, that whole thing, or Rebirth. But in this case, yeah, HD2D, 2 million copies is incredible, and it's gonna keep selling. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if we hear like many more millions of copies over this, and that would be a huge win for Square if they continue doing that going forward with some of their other releases. Oh, and we did have a surprise shadow drop. We can see this from Night Dive. The Thing Remastered is out right now on all platforms. That's on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, PC through either GOG, Humble, or just Steam. And I mean, I've been keeping an eye on this. We've talked about this before, and so far, I mean, it looks good. A few people I know already picked it up and started playing it right away. I think Sean was playing it. I think MVG was playing it. And they seem to be getting a kick out of it right now. It has anti-aliasing, per pixel lighting, 4K resolution, and up to 120 FPS on platforms that'll support it, which is pretty much any of them except for the Switch at this time, but at the Switch too, right? At some point in the future here, maybe they can double back and add some of those features to that. But either way, this is a game that I remember from back in the day, but I didn't get like super into it or anything. I think I might be checking this one out when I get some more time, maybe over the holidays. But right now, I have Indiana Jones to check out, which actually will bring us into our next segment. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It is out now in early access, but on Sunday, it will fully release, we'll say, like the retail release on December 9th into Game Pass and everything. And I did go ahead and get the early access, so I wanted to at least be able to give some of my thoughts and impressions on it for the podcast. And hopefully by the time you're seeing this, I have a video up of some of the initial bits of gameplay there. I figured I'd go through it with some commentary and we'd check it out for the first time on the Xbox Series X, as after we saw those PC requirements. I'm sure there are a lot of questions as to how it's running on the Series X in general, so we'll see. Hopefully that'll be up and I can link to it towards the end of this video in the card and everything. But let's actually take a look at the reviews currently as it's sitting at an 86 or 87 on Metacritic. It's been bouncing around. So like on PC it was 87, then it was an 86, and it keeps jumping around. But either way, Xbox PC, about the same number of reviews and sitting right there, which is better than I thought. I was saying like 82, 83. So I seem to have been off by 3 or 4 points. And for Machine Games, this seems to fall in line right next to Wolfenstein 2, which was a well-regarded, highly rated game. So far, so good for them on a launch of a game that it seemed a bit out of their wheelhouse, right? Because when they started showing it, we're like, okay, it's first person, but it's not the run and gun shooter that we see them do with something like a Wolfenstein. So let's actually take a look at some of the reviews, and there's actually a number of even perfect scores. For example, we have VGC giving it 100, saying we had a smile on our face from beginning to end while playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. As close as games can come to a genuine old-fashioned Hollywood blockbuster, it's also an incredibly rich adventure game, stuffed to the gills with secrets to find. Eurogamer gave it 100, said smart, fun, and so very Indiana Jones. The Great Circle is a stealth action tour de force that marks a bold new era for Machine Games. GameSpot gave it a 90, saying Machine Games has successfully designed a game around its protagonist. Its mix of improvisational stealth and combat feels distinct by adopting a fast and loose style that echoes indie's scrappy persistence. It might not be quite as accomplished in all areas as the studio's Wolfenstein games, but Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is still a frequent delight. Windows Central also gave it a 90, saying from the manner in which every line is delivered and scene is shot to the smirk on Indy's face when solving a puzzle, it's clear that everyone at Machine Games just gets what makes Indiana Jones so special. Now, I wanted to go the opposite end of the spectrum here and grab some that are on the lower end of review scores. So we'll start with Noisy Pixel. They gave it a 70, saying Indiana Jones and the Great Circle captures the spirit of adventure with nostalgic puzzles, richly detailed environments, and thrilling set pieces. While it stumbles with lackluster AI and clunky item management, its charm and sense of discovery make it a rewarding journey for fans of the iconic archaeologist. Pure Xbox, ironically, because people look at some of the platform dedicated publications, say, oh, they're going to give it a high score. They gave it a 60. Said the overall experience isn't bad, and it successfully sells the Indiana Jones fantasy, but the gameplay elements here just don't match up to the vibe of a fun time indie adventure. The pacing is all out of whack, the open stealth-driven levels don't work in the context of an Indiana Jones romp, and the game just feels at odds with itself overall. Now, as I've gone through more and more of these reviews, the conclusion to come to here is, if you're a fan of Indiana Jones, like the movies and stuff, I'm not even thinking like the old video games on the original Xbox or something, that's one I remember just being bad. But if you're just a fan of Indiana Jones in general with the movies, you're going to want to have to just go out and buy this game. Like it's good in that sense that you're going to get basically a new Indiana Jones adventure that is much more interactive than what you've had previously with different movies. And some were saying it was like a 25 to 30 hour experience with even more stuff to do, as there are side quests all over the place. And there's a lot of adventure in the sense that you are going around off the beaten path and just finding random new stuff to do. So that actually sounds really, really cool. The stuff that I'm still unsure of is the first person to third person stuff when you're doing certain traversal elements. And the idea of stealth being so integral to this game, I have some concerns around AI and pathfinding and that sort of thing. But I am excited still to jump into this because it seems like a big win at this time for Machine Games and Xbox and Game Pass, because the big rap on Game Pass for a while was like these games go in, they're lower quality, they rush them out. Does not seem to be the case so far for Indiana Jones based on these reviews, but I have to play it for myself, and I'll be doing that here shortly, so stay tuned for some of my thoughts. Next up, let's talk about Amazon and that secret level series that's coming up next week, as there are a bunch of video game inspired episodes that will be released. I think they're gonna do like 2 blocks, one like 5 episodes, then another 5 episodes later on. But reviews started to drop around just the series in general, and it hasn't gone over great necessarily for it. I think right now it's sitting at about a 51 on Metacritic on like 6 or 7 reviews. IGN just gave the series a 5. I saw Gene Park kind of talking about how some of the episodes are better than others. Like, for example, unfortunately, the PlayStation episode does not appear to be very good, which is a major disappointment for me because I thought that would have been really fun with how we've had some of those commercials for PlayStation where it's like the 60-second blocks of like of people meeting at a bar and being really excited and talking about that Michael, the player who got them out of a bind, whether it's Kratos or anyone else in the room there. So that was really cool. But I'm thinking, okay, how could they build that out into being maybe a much larger episode with a higher budget that explores all these different PlayStation characters coming together? And unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. But apparently the Mega Man one is pretty fun, so that's good. Armored Core, apparently that episode's very, very good. It's just you're gonna get an episode that's good and like an episode that's mediocre or bad, then good. They're gonna go back and forth quite a bit. But Amazon right now is running a couple of sales. And in fact, they're also giving away some more games with their Amazon Prime gaming selection. So over on this page here that I've linked down below, you can see their secret level banner at the top, along with a bunch of games that are related to different episodes. So they have Outer Worlds. You can just claim that on GOG. So again, if you just have like one of those nice PC to play it on, or a PC gaming handheld, or none at all, but you might be getting one later, I mean, just claim it, add it to your account. If you have Amazon Prime, these are games that they just add to it. So you're already paying for it, you might as well click the button and get it, right? You also have Space Marine. So Warhammer 40K Space Marine, the first one, that's a game you can claim. Spelunky, that's another one. They do have Baldur's Gate and then Baldur's Gate 2, Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. They have Warhammer 40K Dawn of War. I also noticed that they have a bunch of games retail that are on sale. Like they have up to 50% off a bunch of Mega Man games. They have $20 off Space Marine 2, so the newest one there. $15 on Crossfire Sierra Squad. Not too familiar with that one myself. 33% off of Pac-Man World Repack. They have the Outer Worlds for $15 on PlayStation or Xbox. They have up to 65% off select PlayStation games. So I just want to make you guys aware of some of these sales that they're doing to go alongside of the secret level stuff, and the fact that there are just more free games you can claim. Epic Games is also starting like the free games holiday stuff. Just keep that in mind. I believe recently they just did a claim on the Lego Star Wars Skywalker saga. So if you have Epic Game Store, you can just claim that. It'll add to your account. And so there's just free stuff getting thrown around. I want to make you guys aware of that, but definitely check out some of these sales and start adding the stuff to your account if you have Amazon Prime. Again, you already paid for it. You may as well start adding this stuff. Next up, let's talk about an update for PlayStation that Sony's been very quiet about, and this was a surprise even to me because I haven't seen anyone mention this at all until recently. It does have to do with PlayStation VR 2, but as we saw, the PSVR 2 went on sale with a very serious discount. It's down to like $350 with Call of the Mountain. So even if you're getting it for PC, that's pretty good just in general for a high quality VR headset. But now we can see this. This was posted over on Upload VR saying that at SIGGRAPH Asia 2024, Sony started demonstrating controller-free hand tracking on PlayStation VR 2. And in fact, it appears that it's available with the latest SDK on PS5, as in developers can do this now, and it tracks the position and posture of PSVR 2 users' hands. Now, this isn't new technically in the world of VR, as even like the Meta Quest, for example, can do this, and it uses those inside-out cameras on the outside of your headset and can track positioning and even gestures that you do. So you have pinch, grab, pointing, but it also recognizes at 60 FPS with low latency and displays the hands smoothly. So that, along with the ability to hand scale and hand mesh, 12 types of gesture detection, there are certain games on Meta Quest that use like your hands in general, not like necessarily the Quest controllers, to do certain things in the game. So this, I think, is big for maybe other titles that would utilize this, whether they're ports over or just new games for PSVR 2. I've been trying to figure out why Sony hasn't mentioned this update. Maybe it isn't ready to roll out technically in terms of, hey, we have something to show it with. But I also wonder if it's just Sony doesn't really like talking about PSVR 2 that much, like put it out in the spotlight, because I mean, look, not many people are using PSVR 2 at all. Like, in the grand scheme of things, think of all the people who have PlayStation 5s and then all the people who have PlayStation 5 with a VR2 headset. It's a small percentage, right, comparative. But still, this is kind of cool. And I wouldn't mind checking that out myself, not having to use those Sense controllers, but just put them down and you can use your hands in different games and tracking with fingers and gestures. That could open up a whole world of possibilities when it comes to the gameplay side of things. So something to just keep an eye on here. If you have a PSVR 2, even if you haven't used it in a while, just keep an eye on this to see if we get anything tangible soon in terms of game updates or new releases, because I think it is something really, really cool to try out if you have not experienced it yet with something like a Quest or the HTC Vive or something like that. And then our last bit of news, let's talk about another live service game that is coming to an end. Kind of, at least like the live service aspect of it with Seasons is coming to an end, but it appears Square Enix is at least approaching its demise a bit better than how some other companies have done it. This, of course, is for Foamstars, and I don't think many people are going to be losing sleep over this technically, but still, let's go over what they had to say over on their blog, where it says, following the Party Goes On season taking place from December 13th, 2024, it's Friday, to January 17th, 2025 on Friday, season updates for Foamstars will be coming to an end. But the party goes on, as it's titled here. In this concluding update, expansions will be introduced to enhance gameplay, such as the ability to customize shots of each character, and new enhancement elements such as Prism Gems, all aimed at ensuring players can continue to enjoy the game for the foreseeable future. All online services will remain available after the Party Goes On season ends. In addition, we plan to hold Foamstars Cup, a series of in-game events named after each character. Furthermore, to ensure the new players can fully enjoy Foamstars, previous season passes will be made available again. Players can switch between season passes at any time to proceed along the season pass track of your choice and obtain items from past seasons. This will make it possible for players to obtain all the items from each season. So that's pretty cool. We've seen it before in other live service games. Halo Infinite did that, but this is still a nice way to sort of close things out by, as they say, having the party go on. So we see so many companies when a live service game underperforms. You do what Ubisoft did with XDefiant, how they've already said, hey, we're shutting it down. It's just going away. In this case, it seems like Square's kind of pivoted this to what we look at as more classic, almost arena-style multiplayer games, or they leave it up and it's just, hey, if people want to play it, great, that's it. We're not going to continue to show up at different seasons and run all these events and stuff, but if you want to play it, it's there. And I think that is the right path to go with these different live service titles, because otherwise they just start disappearing completely. And I know people bring up game preservation and the idea of if it was a live service game that you purchased outright and they're taking it away from you. So I don't know how many people were actually playing Foamstars. I can't imagine it was many people. But for those that were, this is a much better ending than them actually shutting it down completely. Hey, let me know if you were someone who was playing Foamstars and what you think about this update down below. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you picking up Indiana Jones and the Great Circle? Okay, 3% say they're buying it ASAP, 21% say playing it in Game Pass, then 27% say maybe later when it goes on sale, or the PS5, meaning that the majority, 52%, are at least looking into picking this game up. 48% say no, I'm not interested. That's actually pretty good for the most part. Usually when I put these polls out, it's like half the people are like, I'm not interested in that one game. But in this case, I mean, more than half say that they are looking into it and are at least curious about it. And if you're an Indiana Jones fan, again, it seems like a good pickup at this time, although if you have Game Pass, it's a lot easier to recommend it to someone and say, hey, hit that download button. It's worth the time to download 130 plus gigabytes. But still, I'm very curious about the performance, as has been mentioned before, the pacing, the stealth elements. It sounds like a game that most people haven't necessarily played before, just like the gameplay mechanics and stuff that they've wrapped up in here with that sense of adventure. So I'm very interested to jump in and see what it's about. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Austin, who says, 100% agree, these publishers, developers need to stop trying to chase that infinite money glitch with live service games. People are interested in those games, have already invested in a game they like. Well, you mentioned there that infinite money glitch. It's much easier, I'm sure, to pitch your game if you can attach a saying like that to it, right? To the big suits at the top. Hey, got this idea for Foamstars, and it can work because it's a live service game, so it'll go on indefinitely, and we can just keep raking in money year over year over year. It's infinite, right? Much easier to pitch that than go, hey, let's make Foamstars, and it's a $60 game or $70 game, so there eventually will be a limit to how much money we can collect. I just feel like you can get a better budget up front and even a green light from these suits when you approach them with the infinite money can be made, all the money can be made from this one live service game, rather than have those hard limits of this is it, we're gonna make a game, we're gonna sell it, and then move on to the next one. But hey, if you keep getting burned on these live service games that the suits at the top keep stamping approved over and over again on, they'll probably start thinking twice about how many they want to greenlight and how much money they want to put behind them. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card, or maybe you did want to see a bit more about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I'll leave an entire video of gameplay where I went through some of the beginning parts of it right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.